Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and compare the iPhone 12 against the iPhone XR in 2023 and see which specific phone holds up better and see which one you should go ahead and buy. Now, I'll definitely tell you without a doubt, buying something like the iPhone 12 makes a lot more sense, and I would just probably recommend going down that direction than going down the iPhone XR direction right now. But if you currently own the XR, I think the XR is still a great phone that you could still buy if you want to and use it for another couple of years. But the 12 is definitely going to be the one I would really recommend on top of that. So if you want to pick up either one of these phones, the links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off side by side, these two phones are slightly different, as you guys can tell. But they look a lot more similar than they are different. The iPhone XR had that 6.1-inch Retina IPS panel on the front of it, and it was a pretty decent display. I think a lot of people hated it when it first came out, but I will say since then, it has kind of gotten a little bit better. So, it's still have the notch. Basically, you have quite a bit of bezel compared to the iPhone 12, but I still think it's a pretty decent looking phone. I've always liked the iPhone. I didn't like the iPhone 10 when it first was announced, but since buying it and since kind of using it from there, I think it's held up fairly well, and I still think it's a pretty good phone overall in terms of the panel. Now, with the iPhone 12, on the other hand, this is a way better panel than the iPhone XR. This one has a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED panel, and without a doubt, this is definitely the panel I would recommend people to buy. I mean, it's not only an OLED panel, but it's also a higher resolution. It is a much higher resolution panel than the iPhone XR, so that in and of itself is another pretty big asset with this phone. You're getting a notch, you're getting like all the other things, but you're also getting way slimmer bezels on the side as well. So that's kind of another big thing with the iPhone 12. Slimmer bezels, notch pretty much there, but better display. I would definitely give that to the iPhone 12 for sure. Now, even though they're the same like screen size and same kind of thing internally and externally almost, the iPhone 12 is in a much smaller body. Not much smaller, but it is noticeably smaller because of the lack of the curved side. So the curved side I think is great, but the iPhone 12, it's kind of grown on me. I kind of miss the curved side a little bit, but the iPhone 12 with its flat side, even though it kind of feels a little thicker, I guess the iPhone 10 is a thicker phone, the iPhone 12 still I think looks really good with its flat side as well. Lightning port at the bottom, no headphone jack in either one of these. On the back though, you are getting a dual camera setup on the iPhone 12, whereas on the iPhone XR you are getting a single camera setup. So I think these cameras are great. There's not really a lot to complain about here. So when you're getting a phone like the iPhone 12 and the iPhone XR, there's a lot of overlap with the body. So that's always something to kind of keep in mind there, and that's something I've always kind of had to remember as well. But on top of that, another big thing is you're getting a dual camera setup on the iPhone 12, whereas on the iPhone XR you're getting a single camera setup. That's probably another thing to keep in mind. You're getting wireless charging on both. You are getting the MagSafe capability on the iPhone 12, which basically just gives you, ability of using a MagSafe wireless charger, but also things like the MagSafe accessories, which is really cool. Both phones have IP certification, which is really nice. And in terms of the outside, I'll definitely tell you, a phone like the iPhone 12 I think is the better one, but the iPhone XR I think still holds up decently well as well. Now, in terms of software and longevity, this is going to be a pretty big thing to keep in mind. With a phone like the iPhone XR, even though it did come out in 2018, it's still going to be supported for probably another year or two. I think it's definitely going to last up until 2025. One way or another, it's definitely probably going to be getting iOS 17, hopefully. I'm hoping it gets iOS 18, but even if it doesn't, it's still going to be getting some software updates on iOS 17, probably even up until 2025, even probably past that. So you're still going to be getting a long-lasting phone from something like the iPhone XR. With a phone like the iPhone 12, this is a great phone. It's still going to be supported for many years. This phone is 2 years newer than the iPhone XR. So you have to keep that in mind. If you're wanting a phone that's going to last a little bit longer or even longer, a phone like the iPhone 12 is going to be lasting 2 years longer probably than the iPhone XR, and maybe even more than that. Apple kind of flip-flops it sometimes. That's another thing to keep in mind there. Now it's going to do a speed comparison between both these phones. The iPhone 12 has that Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone XR has that Apple A12 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are clear on the background, so let's get into it. Phone calls, 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Music, 3, 2, 1. And iPhone 12 is faster there. Hopping out of here. Let's go and get into app stores, 3, 2, 1. Totally messed that one up. I do wonder if this one was a little faster. Nope. So I think the iPhone 12 would have been faster here, but we'll just kind of let that one go. I kind of messed that one up. Let's go and scroll through here. Let's see what the differences are. And the iPhone 12 is kind of loading up a little bit faster. Let's go and hop out of this one. Let's go and get into something like podcast, 3, 2, 1. Okay, iPhone 12 was the faster one. Clock, 3, 2, 1. About the same thing. Let's go and do reminders, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go and hop out of this one. Let's go and get into something like photos, 3, 2, 1. Okay, not that big of a difference. Let's go and hop out of here. Camera, 3, 2, 1. Perfect. Let's go and take a photo, 3, 2, 1. Now this one is on the night mode little thing, so totally okay. Just kind of have to wait it out a little bit. And then once that's done, we can go and open up this specific photo. And I don't know why I didn't want to open up on the iPhone 12. That's very weird. Let's go ahead and get into mail, 3, 2, 1. Again, the iPhone 12 is faster. Now let's load up some of these other games. We have Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 12 looks like to be the faster one here. For example, the iPhone 10R, a little tiny bit behind. But if you think about it, the iPhone 10R is still doing decently well. Like, it's not like a horrible, like, it's not like super, super behind. Let's go and hop out of here. Let's go and try something like, I would try Genshin Impact. I do have it, 3, 2, 1. Now, this is a pretty big game. I found that the iPhone, 10R is actually still performing fairly well on like low graphics, but definitely the iPhone 12 with its newer chipset, more RAM, just going to be giving you a better experience overall. And even in the loading speeds of the main panel is faster. So in terms of that, I'll definitely tell you the iPhone 12 is by far probably the faster phone, and it makes sense. It's the newer phone with the newer chipset. So from that perspective, that kind of covers it up there as well. Now in the camera department, the iPhone 12 is pretty much going to be giving you a better camera every single way you look at it. I mean, the iPhone 12 is a great camera already. You're getting a dual camera setup on the 12, wide and ultra-wide camera, where the iPhone 10R just only has that standard, wide angle lens, which is still good. 4K at 60 on the back. You're getting 1080p at 60 on the front of the iPhone 10R. But the iPhone 12, you are actually getting 4K at 60 on the front as well, which is amazing. So from the iPhone 10R's perspective, I always found that this camera was actually pretty decent for what you were getting. Maybe it wasn't the best camera, you were missing out on that telephoto lens from that main, from the main line. But I still think this was a very good camera. You're pretty much getting almost exactly the same thing that you would get on some other phones from 2017, 2018 for this one. You're getting time-lapse slow mode, video, photo, portrait mode, panorama mode. Still a lot of modes built in, which is really nice. So this is still a very solid camera, and I actually do like this camera a lot, which is really cool. Now with the iPhone 12, on the other hand, you are getting still a very, very good camera. This is a better camera than the iPhone 10R. I think most people would probably agree with that. So you're getting 0.5x zoom, which is really nice. You're getting 5x zoom, which isn't the end of the world, but it isn't as much as compared to something like even like an iPhone 10s. You're getting video mode, slow mode, time lapse. Let's see what else. Portrait mode, panorama mode. So you're actually getting a lot of features overlapping between these two. But I will probably say with something like the iPhone 10R, it's definitely a good camera, but the 12 is by far the better one here for sure. So to kind of sum up this whole entire video, what I'll tell you is I definitely do think the iPhone 12 is the better camera when it comes down to it. I mean, this camera pretty much has it all. It will give you better experience. It will be giving you better display, better build quality, better cameras, better performance, pretty much better everything. With something like the iPhone 10R, it is a cheaper phone, so you can buy this phone for cheaper than what the iPhone 12 is now going for. So that might make some more sense to go and buy a phone like this because it is so much cheaper. But I don't know. Like, I feel like the iPhone 12 is probably the better one I would recommend. And that's kind of what I would recommend doing, is just buying the iPhone 12 and then pretty much going from there. But you still have phones like the iPhone 11 that sit right in the middle of these two devices too. So in terms of that, that kind of covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.